Welcome to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast, a relaxing and informative show where we explore anxiety, panic, and PTSD, sharing how you can overcome them for life.
Aloha! Welcome back to the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Gina Ryan, and I am so happy to be with you again today as together we can consider the many ways to bring your mind and body back to its natural peace and calm. In today's episode, I'm talking about managing the lizard brain. Now, you know what I mean when I say the lizard brain or your lizard brain or my lizard brain. We are talking about the amygdala. And I wanted to start today's show with the quote. I will read the quote again at the end of the show, but I thought it would set the show up well. Here we go. And this is from Ram V. Iyer. And he said, if you don't manage your reptilian brain, it will manage you. And I thought that was a great way to look at it. If we don't manage our own amygdala, it will manage us. This is the ancient part of our brain. We've talked about it here a number of times, but it's extremely basic anxiety clearing understanding to remember that the amygdala is a large part of why we can't calm ourselves down. It's what we're doing to keep feeding the amygdala or how we are mismanaging the lizard brain. So our brain has this ancient part, our amygdala, and it does act like an alarm. We can wake it up, so to speak, with our reactions and responses and our thinking. And what the amygdala does is it warns us about danger. That's what the lizard brain is all about. It is hungry and it feeds on worry and stress. But if we let it be, if we let it get groggy, it'll sleep. It'll stand down until we really need it. And when is that? When we are in real danger. And we don't have to do anything to wake it up. This is a part of us that is so ancient and deep, it will take care of us. This is a brain that most of all the other animals and single cell creatures are all living out of, the amygdala, towards safety, away from pain and danger. Now, we have the same system in us that keeps us away, moving away from danger and pain, but we also have our brain that has been evolving for a very long time, and it is our duty to use it. This whole prefrontal cortex is like such a magnificent, miraculous creation. But if we are living out of our amygdala, we're missing out. So why are we living out of our amygdala? Why are we giving the lizard so much power? It's because the lizard brain can accidentally be overused or overstimulated when we spend too much time in our worries, stress, and we are interpreting all of these things, the things we're worried about in life. Yeah, we worry about things in the future, and we stress about things in life. This is how we are as humans. But when we are taking all of those worries, stresses, and our feelings as real dangers, this is when we are mismanaging the lizard brain. This is when we are actually waking it up and feeding it. Because most of the things that are happening that we are feeding the lizard brain with are not dangers that the amygdala needs to be involved in. Now, You've heard me say it 100 times on here. If you step off a curb and there's a car speeding down the road, you will jump out of the way as soon as your brain has interpreted that that car is coming. You didn't have to think about it. You didn't have to make a decision about it. It just happened. That's the amygdala. That is your brain, your lizard brain working for you. And you didn't have to turn it on or, figure out a way to get it to work quickly. It just did, because that's the ancient part of us to keep us safe. Now, our thoughts and our feelings may be uncomfortable. They can be very uncomfortable. They may be things we don't like. And this is all part of the whole human experience. Our lives are not just soft, fluffy, cottony, enjoyable, warm, our favorite temperature. No, life is a full spectrum of all kinds of feelings, emotions. It's a whole human experience. So what we have to do is learn to ask ourselves questions. When something is happening, you run it through your brain, your thinking, conscious, aware brain. Is this dangerous? Am I in danger right now? Because if the amygdala could get you to jump right back on the curb out of danger, you don't have to keep thinking about it. Then you can ask the question, am I in danger right now? No, you are not. So you can let the amygdala go back to sleep. But what happens is we hop back up on the curb. We're perfectly fine. We go, wow, that was a close call. And then we start to worry. Then we start to add a story to it. Oh my gosh, well, what if I had taken another step? Oh my goodness, now that your heart rate might be up, maybe your blood pressure's up, all of that naturally happens when your amygdala is fired up and getting you out of a tricky situation quickly. But you may be feeding this whole scenario with more worry, more questions. And it may be that just your increased heart rate and increased blood pressure may be triggering the rest of your brain thinking of all the other things that are a problem in your life and adding story. You're perfectly fine. You didn't get hit by the car. It was a close call. And instead of what an animal would do is a rabbit would run down the rabbit hole. Ducks will fight or have a little to-do. I don't know if it's actually called fighting. And afterwards, they shake, right? They'll shake it all off. And you'll see other animals do this also. There's a danger, a conflict, something where they got all ramped up, and then they shake it off and they go on and about their business. But not us, because we have, again, this beautiful, wonderful, miraculous prefrontal cortex that separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom that doesn't think like us, is also the piece that can get us into trouble in keeping our amygdala alive and active. Because we're thinking, we're worrying, we're stressing, we're adding fuel to the fire. Well, I think it's a great thing for you to practice when you feel yourself ramped up like that. Am I in danger right now? Because discomfort does not equal danger. So you can be very uncomfortable, but you are not in danger. So you can be very uncomfortable without waking up the lizard brain and having this huge reaction, which causes a lot of stress on our body. And stress on our body then feeds the mind into thinking all kinds of extra stressful things, which again feeds the body more stress. So ask yourself, am I in danger right now? Or am I in discomfort right now? So if you are in danger, you just go for it. Get out of danger. Fight flight, freeze, or please. Do whatever is necessary in that moment to be getting safe. That's when you want your amygdala directing the show. Do what you need to do to get safe. You won't need to think about that too much. You will do that. You are built to do that. It's instinct. That is the job of your amygdala. The problem is that we don't spend a lot of time letting ourselves feel discomfort so that we can recognize whether we are uncomfortable or we are in danger. Is it discomfort or is it danger? What happens is we have made ourselves so used to being comfortable. I think most people listening are pretty comfortable in the big, broad scheme of things, but we don't even think about it. We are not in danger. And so we could actually rejoice in that. Like, I am not in danger. I can be fully aware of a discomfort without having my amygdala have to start running the show and setting off all kinds of stress hormones and stress reactions. Because more often than not, we are not in danger when the amygdala kicks in. We have used our thinking process to wake it up because we tend to think every little discomfort is a huge problem. And you don't do this on purpose. It's just the way that over time we find ourselves sliding a little bit further into little bits of discomfort just feel terrible, and we register it as dangerous. And sometimes something can be scary. And after a scare, you have to regroup when you're out of danger and ask yourself, oops, okay, am I okay now? If the answer is yes, do that breathing. Take a breath. Let yourself exhale longer and slower. Relax your muscles. Shake if you would like. It seems to work well for the animals. And let yourself register safety. Because it is then that we stop sending more stress hormones out, and we can just ride the wave of the ones that have already been sent out into the system. It doesn't take long for those to begin to reside. What happens is we don't just ride the wave and let it all clear out. We keep adding to it because we don't like what? We don't like the discomfort that those stress hormones have produced for us, that the lizard brain sent out for us to keep us safe. We hate that feeling of the increased heart rate, maybe sweaty palms, blood pressure going up, the butterflies in the stomach, all of it. Woo, we don't like it. Then we start worrying about that. No. Just take a step back. I am safe now. Let your mind get that thought. And the best way to do that is through your body. Even though the stress hormones, they're still in there. They've been let out. They're flowing. You have to kind of go with it. But you know you're safe. So you can relax your muscles at will. You can slow your breathing down at will. You can take a longer, slower exhale and relax your muscles. And you need to do that in order to get your mind out of wanting to continue with more frightening or scary or worrisome thinking. And when we learn how to differentiate between danger and discomfort, we have more time to respond. But, we've been trained to not only want what we want when we want it now. We want immediate gratification. People are triggering the amygdala because they have to wait in a line at the grocery store. Now, if you haven't experienced that, you may be thinking, no, that's not possible. But I'm telling you, it's not only possible, it's very common. There's we cannot wait. It's uncomfortable. It's warm in the store. It's uncomfortable. Or it's not moving fast enough. They didn't have what we wanted. These are irritations. These are not danger situations. But our amygdala doesn't know that. So it's our job to tell it, no, I am safe. I am totally unhappy about having to wait, but it's okay. I'm safe. It is not an emergency. There is nothing wrong. This isn't a bad situation. It's just irritating. So take some time in your life to begin practicing by noticing these small things that you think they're small, but they add up. And this little line in the grocery store that has you irritated is another straw on the camel's back, that a couple hours down the road, you're saying, oh my God, I had a panic attack out of the blue. Well, no, it's from all of these things that we don't pay attention to consciously, mindfully. We let the lizard brain run wild. We are not managing it. We need to stop feeding him willy-nilly. Over time, your lizard brain will begin to change and not be so reactive. It will be more relaxed because it is taking all of its training from you. Eventually, it will not wake at the slightest discomfort because you are teaching your brain that discomfort does not equal danger. And eventually, the amygdala learns to interpret your discomfort as just discomfort, not danger. And it'll stay asleep longer, and you won't have so much stress going on. So when a situation is truly dangerous, you will be able to sense the difference and act accordingly. Like I said, a truly dangerous situation, you don't have to think about. Your body's in gear. Your amygdala took over. But we want to let that little lizard sleep more. We want to keep him managed so that he is not reacting to discomfort as danger. We want those two to be separated. So retrain your brain by your reactions. Let yourself feel discomfort. Even put yourself, by practicing, into some areas that are uncomfortable. Many people do this with cold water. Don't do it with heat. You can really hurt yourself, but do it with cold water. Take a cold shower. Start with 30 seconds. Your body will want to react in your mind. But you can say, wait a minute, but this is okay. I'm in control here. This is safe. I can do this. I just want to experience some discomfort knowing that it is not dangerous. I hope that you guys have enjoyed today's show. I get a lot of questions about, why this reaction comes up so quickly and how people feel like they have no control over it. It's because we need to respond to the amygdala's alarm accordingly and learn over time to back it down. You're in control. You can manage the lizard brain. I'd love to hear from you if you have a question for the show. anxietycoachespodcast@gmail.com. And now for today's quote. If you don't manage your reptilian brain, it will manage you. And that's from Ram V. Iyer. I'll be back in a few more days with another podcast. Until then, be well and aloha.
Thanks so much for joining us for today's episode of the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. Find more information at theanxietycoachespodcast.com.